It acts at the cellular level, and it's basically an anti-inflammatory, and it inhibits the pro-inflammatory cytokines. And it has been shown in vitro that curcumin has several potential sites of action, and given in proper dosage, it may be able to help patients with inflammation. There are two studies actually which are significant in this. One was where they added curcumin to patients who were already on mesalamine and tried to achieve remission. And as you can see here, as compared to placebo, one group was given mesalamine with placebo, and another group was mesalamine with curcumin. And the response as shown here was dramatic. This study was published in 2006 in Clinical Gastroenterology and Hepatology. And the second one from, I believe, China, again from Clinical Gastroenterology and Hepatology, for preventing the relapse, which is the more important question. You can achieve remission even by giving steroids, but to prevent relapse, that is to maintain remission, is the main motto. And here they gave mesalamine plus salazopyrin and placebo to one group, and to second group they gave curcumin instead of placebo. And here they showed that the relapse was distinctly less, 4% as compared to 20%. So I would say that this is still undergoing research, and there are very few trials to support, but I'm sure with the help of Cadila and other such pharmas, because as you are aware, most research now is dependent on big pharmaceutical houses, because it requires a lot of effort and finances, which most institutions, at least in India, cannot afford. So they are coming up with what is known as a SMEDS technology, that is self-microemulsifying drug delivery system, in which there are nano-sized hydrophilic droplets of curcumin, which and there is improved absorption because of this micro-nano sizes, and there is a better tissue penetration. So curcumin is a hope for the future, I believe. And a last point is, as I said, surveillance for cancer. If you have a patient of IBD, especially ulcerative colitis, and patient has pancolitis, that is involvement of entire colon, after about 8 or 10 years of disease, you have to become sensitive about development of carcinoma in these patients. And we put them on regular surveillance program by doing regular colonoscopies and biopsies. And risk of pancolitis, in pancolitis, the risk is about 7% at 20 years and about 18 to 20% at 30 years of disease. So, and usually this disease starts in young. So anybody who has developed ulcerative colitis at 15 or 20 years of age, you can assume that at 50 years of age, about 20% of them will develop carcinoma colon. So they have to be put on a regular surveillance program, which we do by doing them regular surveillance colonoscopies. With increased age and the extent of colitis, there is increased risk. In Crohn's disease, the true incidence of cancer is uncertain, but most studies show that it could be as high as ulcerative colitis, and they also need the same screening policy if there is involvement of colon. So to conclude, it is a group of chronic intestinal inflammatory disorders, IBD. You have to exclude other possibilities, especially infective illness. Don't jump to a diagnosis, because in first week or second week, you may be encountering a parasitic infection or a bacterial infection or a viral, and you may faultily diagnose ulcerative colitis. You have to differentiate between ulcerative colitis and Crohn's, and there are several methods: biopsy, as well as the extent of disease, as well as the follow-up of the disease. And of course, you need long-term management with primary goal to induce the remission and to maintain the remission next, and then to prevent complications of both the disease and drugs. Thank you.